Live from New Delhi, you're watching the India News Hour, India's voice to the world, with me Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. Amid Trump's tariff threat, Brazil President Lula dials Prime Minister Modi. Both reaffirm commitment to strengthen India-Brazil strategic partnership. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval meets Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Amid Trump's tariff on India over Russian oil, says Putin's India visit date's almost finalized. Israeli cabinet approves Netanyahu's plan to take complete control of Gaza as warnings mount, while Hamas says the remarks are a coup amid ceasefire talks. France's biggest wildfire in decades will continue to burn for several more days, but under control. 16,000 hectares affected, an area bigger than Paris, dozens of homes destroyed. To begin with the latest, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a telephone from the President of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, on Thursday. And during the talks, Prime Minister Modi recalled his visit to Brazil last month, during which the two leaders agreed on a framework to strengthen cooperation in trade, technology, energy, defense, agriculture, health and people-to-people ties. Building on these discussions, the two leaders reiterated their commitment to take India-Brazil strategic partnership to new heights. The two leaders also exchanged views on various regional and global issues of mutual interest. Prime Minister Modi and Brazilian President also agreed to remain in touch. Prime Minister Modi in a social media post stated that he had a good conversation with President Lula. Prime Minister Modi thanked the Brazilian president for making his visit to Brazil memorable and meaningful. He said, and I quote him, "We are committed to deepening our strategic partnership, including in trade, energy, tech, defense, health and more. A strong people-centric partnership between global South nation benefits everyone." Brazilian president also posted on social media about his telephonic conversation with Prime Minister Modi. President Lula stated that PM Modi and he discussed the international economic scenario and the imposition of unilateral tariffs, as Brazil and India are so far the two most affected countries. They also reaffirmed the importance of defending multilateralism and the need to address the challenges of the current situation, as well as to explore possibilities for greater integration between the two countries. The Brazilian president also confirmed the holding of a state visit from Brazil to India early next year. And as a preparatory step for the visit, the two leaders agreed that Vice President of Brazil will travel to India next October on the occasion of the Trade Monitoring Mechanism meeting. The leaders also exchanged information about the virtual payment platforms of the two countries, including PIX and India's UPI. They also talked about the successes of BRICS summit in Brazil and working together for the transition to the next presidency of the bloc, which will be led by India. Now, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, during his recent visit to Moscow, confirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin is all set to visit India. Now, this came after NSA held talks with President Vladimir Putin on Thursday in Moscow. During the meeting with Putin, the two leaders discussed ways to further strengthen the Russia-India special and privileged strategic partnership. And the two leaders also emphasized the importance of joint efforts in preparation of the bilateral summit by the end of this year. And they also discussed cooperation between Russia and India in multilateral formats and exchanged views on topical issues of international security. Now, earlier, NSA Ajit Doval also met Secretary of Russia's Security Council, Sergei Shoigu. Doval described the India-Russia ties as very special and emphasized the strategic depth of the relationship.
Got a very special relationship, a long relationship, and we highly value our strategic partnership. We have had high-level engagements, and these relationships, these high-level engagements have contributed very substantially. We are very excited and delighted to learn about the visit of His Excellency, the President of Russia, President Putin, to India. I think that the dates are almost finalized now. The more important thing is this, that is, these summit meetings have always been the watershed points.
And Akshay joins us with more information on this. Good morning, Akshay. Take us through the key takeaways of the meeting held between India and Russia.
Well, it was quite a significant meeting between both the countries, with the National Security Advisor being in Russia and meeting President Vladimir Putin. This clearly set the stage for President Putin's visit to India, and this visit also comes amid the obvious background of all the tariffs that are being announced by Donald Trump, not only on India but a range of different countries, especially those who are part of BRICS. So if you look at BRICS, almost all of the countries that form the grouping have faced significant tariffs from the US president, including Brazil that has 50%, then Russia. Then obviously Russia is another case altogether, because Russia is the major reason why Donald Trump has announced all of these tariffs. So that also goes as far as an adversarial situation is concerned. India also again 50%. China has been given a 90-day period, but initial the tariffs that were named that were mentioned were about 30% on China. That can significantly go up, like it has gone in the case of India, because of the oil and the gas that China is also importing from Russia. In fact, China is the largest importer of Russian oil. So that is the case. When it comes to South Africa, it also faces significant tariffs. So it seems that also selective targeting has been done by the US president, given the fact that he always was rattled on the questions of a BRICS currency, BRICS countries coming together. And one thing that he had made clear was that he will not face, or rather he will not tolerate any kind of challenge to the hegemony of US dollar when it comes to the world's reserve currency. So the situation remains complicated as far as the situation is concerned. But amid all of this, BRICS countries are now trying to find ways together to come closer together and form more comprehensive economic partnerships. And that was perhaps the major reason why Ajit Doval was in Russia, and that the other motive was to plan for the visit of President Vladimir Putin back to India. That may happen very soon.
And also talking about President Putin's visit to India, the dates will be announced soon on Putin's visit to India. But how is it likely to shape the global trade map, considering both the countries are important cog in the wheel when we talk about the global trading, and also the latest situation which you just talked about?
Well, the dates, yes, are being discussed, almost finalized, but it's not going to be what earlier was reported, that President Vladimir Putin will be coming to India by the end of August. That's not going to happen. That has been clarified by the Ministry of External Affairs. But the dates will be somewhere this year, and the visit will be concluded this year alone. That is something that we are learning from the sources. However, when it comes to how this is going to change the global dynamics, especially of trade, it's more than trade. It's about sovereignty, and it's about being there for each other as allies. What was expected of the US and the way US was expected to treat their allies, that clearly has not happened after Donald Trump has become the president of the US. In fact, quite the opposite. He has been targeting allies more than adversaries, like in the case of Brazil and India. So the situation has to be resolved through dialogue and through developing an understanding that who your true allies are when it comes to trade, who are the countries that keep you on an equal footing, who give you a mutual respect, and perhaps that is more important than even trade, because while US can be the largest economy in the world, it is not the only economy, and other countries, especially countries like China, countries like India, Russia, who have thousands of year-old civilization, who existed thousands of years before the birth of the US, they can very well survive through trade amongst each other. So that is a message that has to go very, very clearly to the US, that any kind of bullying will not be tolerated, especially by the world's largest democracy, by the world's largest country in terms of population, in terms of size, and also by the world's fastest growing economies of the BRICS bloc, if that's what Donald Trump is planning to do.
All right, very important developments ahead of India's Quad Summit hosting. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on the latest situation. Moving on now, despite strong objections from countries like India, Donald Trump is not backing down on his tariff tyranny. The US president's reciprocal tariffs have come into effect now against 69 nations, which includes India. Trump has also hinted that, like India, China could also be hit with additional secondary tariffs. He also announced a 100% tariff on semiconductor imports, despite reports that US inflation has already started to climb. For more on this, we are now joined by our correspondent Saurabh Shukla from Washington, D.C. Saurabh, good morning. What is the buzz in Washington, especially related to the secondary tariff, when some positive developments have also taken place on the Ukraine front? And also, how is the everyday American viewing this?
Summit meeting being planned with President Trump and President Putin of Russia. If that's successful, certainly, then some of, the tariff that has been added to India may just go away. So, a lot's happening, as I said. Diplomatic, I would say negotiations are happening both between US and Russia. And obviously, Ukraine has to be brought in there as well. And obviously, Indian negotiators are also not giving hope because, as I said earlier, this relationship between US and India has been nurtured for years. And under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, that has gained big momentum. And President Trump himself has recognized that. There is a concern amongst the consumers as well when I talk to people in the grocery stores as well, what is going to be the impact. The impact hasn't really kicked in because a lot of goods were already in the country. But yes, if this continues, in the following months, there's going to be a heavy Christmas shopping that starts to come in, right? A lot of consumers obviously may get impacted because a lot of these goods are getting imported. And, obviously, websites like Amazon, which are a major source for these shoppers, they may have to raise, the prices. As of now, it hasn't happened as yet, but certainly there is a concerns amongst people here as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for joining us and bringing us the latest. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met Indian Ambassador to Israel, JP Singh, at his Jerusalem office on Thursday. The Prime Minister and the Ambassador discussed the expansion of bilateral cooperation, especially on security and economic issues. Prime Minister Netanyahu then met with senior Indian journalists and answered their questions. Now, strengthening green partnership, India on Wednesday officially handed over the first batch of 10 electric buses to Mauritius. High Commissioner of India, Anurag Srivastav, handed over e-buses to Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam in the presence of the ministers, junior ministers and senior dignitaries. The High Commissioner described the buses as moving symbols of our friendship and commitment to a cleaner and greener planet. While Prime Minister Ramgoolam recalled the historic state visit to PM Modi to Mauritius in March and highlighted this e-pass project as a paradigm shift in public transport and as a symbol of the special relationship that has stood the test of time. He further highlighted its role in reducing emissions, cutting fuel imports and creating jobs in e-mobility. He appreciated India's role in high-profile infrastructure and future-ready sectors including blue economy, AI, technology, food and maritime security. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Thailand and Cambodia agree to a ceasefire involving all types of weapons. United States doubles its bounty on Venezuelan president who faces federal drug trafficking charges. UN says Sudan's crisis is worsening with civilians facing growing food shortages. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Well, Israel's Security Cabinet has approved a plan proposed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the military to take control of Gaza City. Under the plan to defeat Hamas in the Gaza Strip, the Israeli army will prepare to take control of Gaza City while distributing humanitarian assistance to the civilian population outside the combat zone. The Security Cabinet, by majority vote, adopted 5 principles for concluding the war, which is the disarming of Hamas, the return of hostages, living and dead, the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip, Israeli security control in the Gaza Strip, and the establishment of an alternative civil administration that is neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority. A decisive majority of Security Cabinet ministers believed that the alternative plan had been submitted to the Security Cabinet would neither achieve the defeat of Hamas nor the return of the hostages. Hamas, meanwhile, termed Netanyahu's remark on Gaza coup amid the truce talks. Hamas, in a statement on Thursday, said that Israeli Prime Minister's remarks that Israel intends to take military control of all Gaza constituted a coup amid the ceasefire negotiations. The statement further reads that Netanyahu's plans to expand Israel's Gaza offensive shows his aim to sacrifice Israel's own hostages to serve his personal interests. Now, taking another step to secure peace in the region, Lebanon's cabinet approved the objectives of a U.S. proposal for disarming Hezbollah by the end of the year, along with ending Israel's military operations in the country. Lebanon's cabinet met on Thursday for the second time in days to discuss disarming Hezbollah after the Iran-backed group rejected the government's decision to take away its weapons. Information Minister Paul Morkos said the cabinet endorsed the introduction of the U.S. text without discussing specific timelines. The objectives of the U.S. proposal include phasing out the armed presence of non-state actors, including Hezbollah, deploying Lebanese forces to key border and internal areas, ensuring Israel's withdrawal from the 5 positions, resolving prisoner issues through indirect talks, and permanently demarcating Lebanon's borders with Israel and Syria. The U.S. proposal aims to extend and stabilize a ceasefire agreement between Lebanon and Israel brokered in November. Meanwhile, U.S. welcomed the Lebanese government's decision to task the Lebanese armed forces to bring all the weapons under state control.
This is an important step towards Lebanese sovereignty. We continue to watch developments in Lebanon very closely. Special Envoy Tom Barrack made it clear what the president needs to see. As long as Hezbollah retains arms, words will not suffice. The Lebanese armed forces must fully commit and act now to fully implement the government's decision. The credibility of Lebanon's government rests on its ability to match principle with practice.
Now, Thailand and Cambodia today agreed to a ceasefire involving all types of weapons and to refrain from further deployments and movements of troops along their common border that was a scene of recent fierce fighting. Now, both the sides also agreed not to undertake provocative actions that may escalate tensions. The agreement was reached at the end of a 4-day meeting of defense ministers of both sides, with the United States and China as observers. According to the agreement, both the countries will implement the ceasefire and formation of ASEAN Observer Team led by Malaysia to verify and ensure its implementation as reached at the special meeting on 28th of July. The United States on Thursday doubled its bounty on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who faces federal drug trafficking charges and whose most recent election victory was not recognized by Washington, to $50 million. The previous bounty was set in January at $25 million. In 2020, during President Donald Trump's first term in office, Maduro and other high-ranking Venezuelan officials were indicted in federal court in New York on several charges, including participating in a narco-terrorism conspiracy. The Justice Department accused Maduro of leading a cocaine trafficking gang called the Cartel of the Suns that shipped hundreds of tons of narcotics into the United States over 2 decades, earning hundreds of millions of dollars. In a video on social media, Attorney General Pam Bondi said he's one of the largest narco traffickers in the world and a threat to U.S. national security. She further said Maduro also had worked with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua and Mexico Sinaloa cartel.
Today, the Department of Justice and State Department are announcing a historic $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. Maduro uses foreign terrorist organizations like TDA, Sinaloa, and Cartel of the Suns to bring deadly drugs and violence into our country. To date, the DEA has seized 30 tons of cocaine linked to Maduro and his associates, with nearly 7 tons linked to Maduro himself, which represents a primary source of income for the deadly cartels based in Venezuela and Mexico. Cocaine is often laced with fentanyl, resulting in the loss and destruction of countless American lives.
Reacting to increased bounty, Venezuela termed it as pathetic and ridiculous. Venezuelan Foreign Minister said in a statement on Telegram that the pathetic bounty is the most ridiculous smokescreen they have ever seen. Moving on, weather updates now. First up from France, where a massive wildfire scorched through 16,000 hectares of forest and villages in southern part since Tuesday and has now been contained. Firefighters will, however, remain deployed in the area in the coming days to secure the site and prevent flare-ups. Residents affected by the blaze are still barred from returning to their homes without official clearance, as many roads remained closed and potentially hazardous due to uninspected damage and fallen power lines. France's biggest wildfire in nearly 8 decades has destroyed 36 houses, damaged 20 others, and forced some 2,000 residents and holidaymakers to flee the area. In Canada, troops and Coast Guard personnel are deployed to its easternmost province to confront wildfires that have forced hundreds to evacuate. Wildfires across the vast country this year have already burned 7.1 million hectares of land, an area roughly the size of Ireland. With hot, dry conditions expected to persist across several regions and 730 active fires burning, the damage this year is almost certain to pass the toll from 2 decades ago. In recent years, Canada has experienced warming at least twice as fast as the rest of the globe. While in California, firefighting aircraft were seen flying over a fast-moving brush fire in Ventura County. The fire has burned an estimated 1,051 acres and remains 0% contained. Evacuation orders have been issued for parts of Los Angeles County, including the Wildfire area and Oak Canyon. The areas near Hazley and Romero are also under evacuation warnings. Now, China is also on high alert as a new round of torrential rain triggers flooding in central Henan province, disrupting transport and power in southern regions. While northern provinces prepare for imminent heavy downpours expected to exceed 200 mm, prompting nationwide emergency response measures. The sudden deluge left urban districts severely waterlogged, suspending some subway services. While in Japan, weather agency has issued a special heavy rain alert for the southern region of Kagoshima on Friday, warning lives are at risk. The deluge follows a period of severe heat in many parts with a national record temperature of 41.8 degrees Celsius. Authorities have urged the residents to evacuate without waiting for orders from municipalities. Meanwhile, domestic flights at Kagoshima airport were cancelled due to rain. Well, the United Nations has warned that Sudan's crisis is worsening, with civilians facing growing food shortages, disease and displacement. The UN humanitarian official underscored call for unimpeded access and urgent support to reach those on the front lines of hardship. While conditions in El Fasher, the capital of North Darfur, are particularly dire, with people resorting to eating animal feed due to soaring prices and a year-long siege that has blocked aid deliveries by road. Cholera cases are also surging in Blue Nile state, where 14 people are dead so far and nearly 2,800 infections reported since late June.
In an effort to curb public health risks in North Darfur, our humanitarian partners and local authorities launched a sanitation campaign on the 5th of August, targeting 11,000 people in the localities of El Fasher and Dar es Salaam. The initiative aims to prevent disease outbreaks in overcrowded displacement sites during the ongoing rainy season. Our humanitarian partners are also scaling up the response to the cholera outbreak.
A helicopter crashed into a barge on the Mississippi River on Thursday, killing 2 people who were on the helicopter and closing the river to traffic near Alton. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, preliminary information indicated the MD-369 helicopter hit power lines before the crash. The Federal Aviation Administration said there were 2 people on board when the helicopter crashed and the NTSB would lead the investigation. An NTSB investigator was expected to arrive on site on Friday. Alton is downriver from the Mississippi's confluence with the Illinois River, and the closure could delay barges carrying grain to the United States Gulf from Midwestern farms.
Was just working on these power lines. It hit.
Now, at least 6 people were killed after a light aircraft crashed in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, on Thursday. As per reports, the aircraft, identified at Cessna Citation 560, was headed for Somalia and operated by medical charity Amref Flying Doctors. The Kenya Civil Aviation Authority said the plane took off from Wilson Airport and lost contact with air traffic control 3 minutes later. Crashes involving light aircraft are relatively common in East Africa. On the other hand, a train collided with a staff bus at a railway crossing in Kenya on Thursday, killing at least 4 people and injuring several others. Footage from the scene showed emergency workers retrieving bodies from the mangled bus, with police and bystanders gathered nearby. The bus, operated by the Kenya Pipeline Company, was carrying employees who had completed a morning training session in the area. An eyewitness said the bus was full at the time of the crash. The company did not confirm the number of casualties. Now, supporters of former Colombian president took to the streets to demand his freedom in Bogota on Thursday after his house arrest sentence last week. Supporters marched to Bolivar Square while carrying signs and flags in the rainy weather. In around 20 Colombian cities, Uribe was found guilty in a witness tampering case on July the 28th that has spanned roughly 13 years, though he has consistently claimed that he is innocent. On the 1st of August, a judge sentenced him to 12 years of house arrest for abusing legal procedures and bribing a public official. Uribe became Colombia's first former president convicted at trial just months before the 2026 elections. And now let's get you the latest in the much talked about mushroom murder case. Australia's recently jailed mushroom murderer also tried to poison her husband with a chicken korma curry. Home cook Erin Patterson was found guilty in July of murdering her husband's parents and elderly aunt by lacing their beef Wellington lunch with lethal death cap mushrooms. A series of potentially damning allegations about Patterson's behavior in the lead up to the 2023 meal were withheld from the jury in an effort to give the mother of 2 a fair trial. Patterson tried to kill her estranged husband Simon on 3 occasions between 2021 and 2022. Police alleged in one of the major claims not heard during the trial. She was accused of serving him poisoned dishes of pasta, chicken korma, curry and a vegetable wrap. Patterson will return to the court on the 25th of August for hearings that will determine how long she spends behind the bars. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world in brief. Hong Kong residents can now report crimes, traffic incidents and other non-emergency cases via all-in-one new app. Police Force on Thursday released its latest mobile app with the hope to alleviate the force's manpower shortage problems by including an AI chatbot in the digital platform. Hong Kong Police's Super app combines forces over 50 digital services spread across various apps into a single platform. The Water Civilizations Gallery opens in Turkey's Talas district following the discovery of 2,000-year-old rock-carved water cistern or a water storage tank. Fed by melting snow from Mount Ayrıcaız, one of Turkey's tallest mountains, the water would collect in the ancient cistern. Discovered by chance about 6 months ago, the cistern was cleansed and transformed into an interactive gallery. The water cistern is active and still in use. Paper lanterns bearing images of women and other designs light up the night at a famed summer festival in Kusawa city of Akita prefecture in northern Japan. The Tanabata Iduro festival is said to date back around 300 years when a daughter of a court noble from Kyoto who married into a local family wrote her nostalgic feelings for her home on paper strips and hung them on a bamboo. In this year's festival that began on Tuesday, about 170 lanterns with drawings in a variety of styles, including ukiyo-e, were displayed along the city's shopping streets. Time to take a quick and short break, but still to come on the other side. We'll give you the latest update from the monsoon session of the Indian Parliament. We'll also tell you about the crucial role of Indian Army in the ongoing rescue operation of Uttarakhand's Tharali. And up next, we'll get you the latest on monsoon fury that continues to batter lives in parts of the country. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching the India News Hour. Well, the political heat inside the Indian Parliament continues. The National Committee for Protection of Media Persons Bill 2024 will be introduced in the upper house amid all the heat. The bill is all set to provide for the establishment of a national committee. Apart from that, other bills will also be tabled today. National Committee for Protection of Media Persons Bill is also to be introduced along with the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Amendment Bill. Apart from that, the Criminal Laws Bill and the Public Examinations Amendment Bill will also be tabled. The Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Amendment Bill 2024 will also be present. Apart from that, the Representation of the People Bill 2024 will be there. The Right to Free Cancer Treatment Bill 2024 will also be tabled. These are few of the bills that will be tabled in the Rajya Sabha today. The Legislative Impact Assessment Bill is one of them, apart from the Cybercrime Bill 2024, which is also be expected to tabled. Now, the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Amendment Bill 2024 is a key bill which is to be tabled at the lower house of the Indian Parliament today. Apart from that, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita Bill 2024, the Constitution Amendment Bill 2024, 243D, and the Census Bill is also to be presented. And the National Sports Governance Bill will also be presented in the Lok Sabha. The National Anti-Doping Bill will also be taken up in the Lok Sabha, which is the lower house of the Parliament. The Indian Ports Bill 2025 is also expected to be discussed at the lower house of the Parliament. The bill is all set to consolidate the laws relating to ports, promote integrated port development, and ensure the optimum utilization of India's coastline. This is what the bill talks about. And to get you more on this, I'm joined by DD India's Dipendu. Good morning, Dipendu. We are having so many bills which are expected to be tabled in both the houses of the Indian Parliament, the Rajya Sabha as well as the Lok Sabha. But what is the likely possibility of a smooth functioning of yet another day of the ongoing monsoon session of the Indian Parliament, Dipendu?
Well, Deepika, good morning. First to bring up to date with the number of bills that we just spoke about. These are all private members' bill because Friday is a day when the private members are allowed to bring in their own bill and table it in the Parliament, in both the houses of Parliament. These are not government bills except for the three that you told in the Lok Sabha. So all the bills that we spoke about earlier are all private members' bill, and this is as per the norms and customs of the Parliament. Private members are given a chance to present their bill on the table of the House, and whether or not that motion will be accepted or not, that depends on the quorum of the House. Having said this, the government's legislative business for today in both the houses is in the lower house, in the Lok Sabha. It is, the anti-doping and the sports bill, which will pave way for the India's, stand on the Olympics, as well as for the welfare of the athletes as well as the para-athletes. So this is a very key bill that the government is, wanting to push through since a very long time. But ever since the start of the Parliament, we have seen that there have been massive disruptions in the Parliament, but now the government strategy is very clear that amidst disruption, the government will not let its legislative business and its business of the House get hampered. They will pass key legislative businesses, as we have been witnessing since Monday. The strategy of the government has been different, that despite the chaos and commotion and the protest within the House, the government is sailing through key legislative businesses. So it is expected that this anti-doping bill as well as the sports governance bill is likely to see the light of the day in the lower house. While in the upper house, the government's legislative business is that they will be taking up the reservation for the scheduled tribes in the state of Goa Amendment Bill 2024, which has already been passed by the Lok Sabha. So the Rajya Sabha is expected to pass that bill today. And, again, as I have been saying, that amidst it is expected that there is going to be uproar from the opposition side, and there is going to be a protest with respect to the SIR, which is the Special Intensive Review of the Electoral Roll in Bihar. So there is going to be ruckus. The opposition strategy is clear, and as we speak, inside the Parliament, there is a protest that is going on by the opposition parties on the SIR. So therefore, the SIR issue is not going to die down anytime soon, because the opposition strategy is clear that they want to corner the government. While on the other hand, the government strategy is very clear that they will not let a non-issue to become an issue, because Election Commission is a constitutional body. The opposition is making noises without any proof. And that this particular case is in the Supreme Court, and a matter which is sub judice cannot be debated on the floor of the House. So therefore, these bills are some of the key issues that we are expected to see in both the houses of Parliament. Deepika.
All right. Thank you so much, Dipendu, for joining us and bringing us the latest on Parliament proceedings today. And now let's get you a quick update on Uttarakhand flash floods. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami continues to review relief and rescue operations in the Kheer Ganga River area of Uttarkashi district. Under the guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, full cooperation is being received from the central government. And during this, officials were given necessary instructions regarding the restoration of roads, communication and electricity, as well as food supply. With the help of heli services, Mi-17 and Chinook helicopters, a rescue operation is being carried out at a war footing to bring people back safely. He informed that the government is making every effort to evacuate all affected people safely and restore normal public life at the earliest. Notably, secured army communication on satellite and radio relay provided immediately on support of the ongoing rescue operations. Stranded civilians spoke to their families through army communication network and satellite internet calls. Additionally, Indian Army is also laying lines to restore communication. Further, efforts are underway to restore road access severely disrupted at Partwadi, Linchighat, near Harsil, Gangarani and Dharali. In all, over 225 Indian Army personnel, including engineers, medical staff and rescue teams, are on the ground to further intensify the ongoing rescue and relief operations. Now, search and rescue dogs are also being used to locate the missing persons. Over 70 civilians have been rescued so far, while critically injured people are being airlifted to Dehradun and AIIMS Rishikesh. Army is also providing medical aid and food to around 200 stranded tourists at Gangotri. Now, the Met Department has warned of heavy rainfall at isolated places in Uttarkashi, Chamoli, Tehri, Dehradun, Pauri, Bageshwar, Pithoragarh, Udham Singh Nagar, Champavat and Nainital districts for today. While thunderstorms accompanied with lightning or intense to very intense spell of rain is also likely to take place today at isolated places in all the districts of the hilly state. And to get you more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Kanchan Negi from Dehradun. Good morning, Kanchan. Tell us about the latest update on relief and rescue operation there.
Very good morning. I just want to say that as far as the latest updates are concerned, relief and rescue operations successfully evacuated 6 individuals, bringing them safely to the Matli helipad. CM Pushkar Singh Dhami arrived at the Matli helipad today morning to review the ongoing disaster relief and rescue efforts. He directed the officials to ensure the adequate availability of food supplies in all disaster-affected areas. Moreover, Secretary Disaster Management and Rehabilitation Vinod Kumar Suman, Additional Chief Executive Officer Administration Anand Saroop, Additional Chief Executive Officer Implementation DIG Rajkumar Negi, along with various experts of Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority are monitoring the rescue operation. I must say that Indian Army teams are tirelessly engaged in restoring connectivity, evacuating the residents and the tourists, while providing medical support and delivering essential aid. The presence of senior military commanders, including the Army Commander, Central Command on the ground, has significantly bolstered the morale of the troops and the stranded alike. It has also enabled a seamless coordination with SDRF, ITBP, local administration and civil authorities, ensuring swift and effective humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Furthermore, Deepika, I want to add on that in areas like Dharali and Harsil, massive sludge flows hold people hundreds of meters, causing severe injuries, mud in lungs, broken bones, and psychological trauma among villagers and rescuers alike. Moreover, Chinook and Mi-17 helicopters are ready, though flights are intermittently blocked by poor weather. And on the other hand, the BRO is working to reopen the highways and key routes. And IAF and Army helicopters are part of coordinated search and rescue missions where ground access is severely limited. Deepika.
All right. Thank you so much, Kanchan, for joining us and bringing us the latest straight from Uttarakhand, Dehradun. Now, monsoon fury continues to batter lives in parts of the country. Several districts of North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh and central India's Madhya Pradesh are witnessing flood-like conditions as rivers are in spate, flowing either close to or above the danger mark. Varanasi and Prayagraj are among the worst affected areas as flood water has entered several low-lying areas there. According to the Met Department, heavy to very heavy rainfall is likely to take place in Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh from the 8th till the 12th of August. Extremely heavy rainfall is also expected in Haryana. The Weather Department has also forecast heavy rain in Bihar and Jharkhand till the 10th of August. Several parts of Bihar are already facing flood-like conditions, with many rivers flowing above the danger level, severely impacting daily lives. Moving on, Raksha Bandhan will be celebrated on Saturday all across the world. Well, it is considered an important festival symbolizing love, affection and trust between brothers and sisters. On this festival, sisters tie a rakhi on their brother's wrist and pray for their long life. Raksha Bandhan celebrates the bond of love between the siblings. And in return, brothers vow to protect their sisters even at the cost of their own lives. According to the Hindu calendar, the festival takes place on the full moon day of the month of Shravan. The month of Shravan ends and the month of Bhadrapada begins with Raksha Bandhan. In Gujarat's Rajkot, school children have prepared 45 feet long rakhi with the help of different dishes and forks and various grains and birds. These dishes will be donated to the children of different Anganwadis of Rajkot city and grains will be offered to the birds. Students of Sukhma from Naxal area prepared rakhi for the armed forces. Together, they are preparing rakhi for young brothers posted on the border of the country who cannot go to their homes in Raksha Bandhan. While in national capital, Chief Minister Rekha Gupta met a self-help group in a bid to promote handmade products. Sisters of Chhatra district prepared a gift pack containing rakhi, roli and rice, and they also prepared sweets with sattu. Now, with Ganesh Chaturthi just weeks away, Mumbai is witnessing a wave of green initiatives as citizens come together to ensure this year's celebrations are more eco-friendly than ever before. In a city known for its grand and elaborate Ganesh festivities, environmental awareness is taking center stage. From using clay idols and natural dyes to promoting artificial immersion tanks, Mumbai is embracing sustainability while honoring the tradition. Decorations made from recycled paper, bamboo and fabric are becoming increasingly popular. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. US President to nominate Council of Economic Advisors Chairman to serve as the Federal Reserve Governor. In sports, India's Arjun Arikaisi begins on a winning note at Chennai Grandmasters 2025. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now it's time to get you all the latest from the world of business. US President Donald Trump on Thursday said he will nominate Council of Economic Advisors Chairman Stephen Miran to serve as the Federal Reserve Governor. Miran would fill the position opened by Fed Governor Adriana Cooler's surprise resignation announced last week as she now returns to her tenured professorship at Georgetown University. The term expires on the 31st of January 2026 and is subject to approval by the Senate. Miran has advocated for a far-reaching overhaul of Fed governance that would include shortening board member terms, putting them under the clear control of the president. Trump hasn't successfully pushed the Fed to cut the rates. Miran, if confirmed by the Senate, would have one of 12 votes on monetary policy at the Fed that voted 9-2 last month to keep rates steady. Now, OpenAI launched on Thursday its GPT-5 artificial intelligence model, which is the highly anticipated latest installment of a technology that has helped transform global business and the culture. OpenAI, in a briefing, said OpenAI's GPT models are the AI technology that powers the popular ChatGPT chatbot and GPT-5, which will be available to all 700 million ChatGPT users. The AI industry is at a pivotal moment with top developers like Alphabet, Meta, Amazon and Microsoft heavily investing in data centers, totaling nearly $400 billion in capital expenditures this fiscal year. Now, the surge in spending is driven by the growing demand for AI solutions and the potential for substantial returns on investment. Key players are betting big on AI infrastructure, expecting significant growth and returns as the technology continues to advance and become more integral to various industries. You're watching DD India News Hour, and now it's time to get you all the latest action from the world of sports, to begin with chess. The highly anticipated third season of the Chennai Grandmasters Chess Series officially commenced in Chennai on Thursday. Now, this year, the tournament sees a significant increase in both the number of participants and the prize money. A total of 20 elite players are participating across two categories, Masters and Challengers. The Masters category features 10 world-class players, including India's top talents Arjuna Rigaisi, Vidit Gujarati and Nihal Sarin. The Challengers section also brings together some of India's brightest young stars, including Karthikeyan Murali and Vaishali Ramesh Babu. India's Arjuna Rigaisi and German Grandmaster Vincent Keimer got off to a winning start at the ongoing tournament. Rigaisi delivered a commanding performance against American Wanda Liang, while Keimer showed flawless technique to defeat Nihal Sarin. The two victories stood out on an otherwise balanced day in the Masters section, with all other games ending in draws. In the Challengers section, top-ranked Indian players Diptayan Ghosh and M. Pranesh also registered victories in the opening round. From thrilling comebacks to history-making victories, the Canadian Open 2025 delivered drama and unforgettable tennis moments. America's Ben Shelton won the biggest title of her career, while teenager Victoria Moboko delivered the best performance of her life. Julian Cash and Lloyd Glasspool scripted doubles history, and American stars Coco Gauff and McCartney Kessler triumphed in the women's doubles. Here's more.
Power, resilience and history. The Canadian Open saw champions rise under pressure and deliver career-defining performances. Here's a look at the champions who made their mark this year. Men's singles. American Ben Shelton powered to the biggest title of his career, rallying past Russian Karen Khachanov 6-7, 6-4, 7-6 to win the ATP Masters. The 22-year-old, ranked 7th in the world, unleashed 16 aces in a high-octane final to claim his maiden Masters 1000 crown. Shelton's victory marks a major breakthrough, cementing his place among the game's top contenders. Women's singles. Victoria Mboko overcame a wrist injury and a slow start to stun four-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka 2-6, 6-4, 6-1 in the women's singles final. Mboko joins Bianca Andreescu and Faye Urban as the only Canadians to win the hometown tournament in the Open era, and becomes the first to do so in Montreal. Men's doubles. Julian Cash and Lloyd Glasspool saved 4 match points before edging Salisbury and Skupski. The all-British pairing made history as the first from their nation to lift an ATP Masters 1000 title. Women's doubles. The women's doubles crown went to Coco Gauff and McCartney Kessler, who fought past Townsend and Zhang despite the loss. Townsend retains her WTA number 1 doubles ranking, with Yelena Ostapenko exiting in the quarterfinals. The champions now turn their focus on the US Open, carrying momentum. With emotions running high and title changing hands, the Canadian Open has once again delivered world-class tennis and unforgettable moments. Sports Desk, DD India.
The national golf selection trial for the participation of Indian team at the Tokyo Deaflympics is being conducted at Sports Centre in Greater Noida. The 2025 Summer Deaflympics is an international multi-sport event that is scheduled to be held in Tokyo from the 15th of November till the 26th of it. Now, this will be the first time in the competition's history where Japan will be hosting the Deaflympics. The shooting selection trials for Deaflympics will be conducted from 11th of August till the 16th of it. Meanwhile, the final for the golf event will take place on Saturday. Moving on, you must have seen exhibitions, protests and conferences being organized to create awareness about climate change. But none line this unique journey from Congo to Norway. The 2,000 kilometers journey was organized with life-sized wooden puppets of giraffes, lions, gorillas, wolves, deer, moose and reindeer, with several others, symbolizing the animals fleeing from the effects of climate change. The puppets are made of recyclable art materials like cardboard and plywood. In the last leg of their intercontinental odyssey, these puppets scaled the Uste Dallas Brion Glacier, which is the largest one in mainland Europe, and concluded the trek at North Cape, which is one of the northernmost points in the world. The 25-city route began this April from Kinshasa in Congo, followed by pit stops at the deserts of the Sahel, European cities like Madrid and London, and finally the glaciers of Norway. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from the country and the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code to download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.